Hi, not Fred Durst.
What's up, Josh Fierstein here. So I'm here to issue the $100,000 atheist challenge to anybody that could provide me proof or evidence that God does not exist.
Well, I'll be happy to provide you with evidence that God doesn't exist. Not proof. I couldn't possibly provide proof because you can't have proof for a synthetic proposition, only evidence. Now, it's important to establish what evidence means. Scientific evidence is an observation which is consistent with a hypothesis being true that could have falsified the hypothesis if it had had some other outcome. So, for example, I can hypothesize that objects with mass are attracted to the Earth by gravity. I can test that by dropping this pen. If my hypothesis is correct, the pen will be attracted to the Earth, in other words, it will fall. If, on the other hand, this pen doesn't fall, then my hypothesis is clearly wrong. It will have been falsified. Well, I guess the hypothesis, at least, could be true. I have subjected it to a test that could have falsified it. It stood the challenge. I have evidence in support of it. So, now let's look at the hypothesis God does not exist. Well, since we exist, we need to explain our existence without God. And how would we do that? Well, let's see. We would have to be able to exist without magic. We would have to be able to exist in the universe naturally. That means the universe must provide everything we need. Now, in order for the universe to do that, it has to meet a lot of very specific conditions. I mean, let's just look at our own planet. Everything we need must be here. And it had to come here somehow, and that would require a lot of time, and we would expect the universe to be really huge, because nature's not going to get it right on just one shot. We need lots of attempts, within quotation marks, going on all the time for a very long time. So we would expect a universe that is ancient and huge. See where this is going? We would expect a universe that not only is ancient and huge, it would have to have the right laws. The constants of physics would have to have exactly the right values. Yeah, there's some margin of error that's larger than what some people like to say. But you know what? I'll grant you that it has to be extremely specific. That actually only strengthens my case. I'll just say it. The universe is finely tuned. Certainly looks like it anyway. It's finely tuned for us, in the sense that it does allow us to exist, and that requires some very specific conditions to be met. That's a prediction made by the hypothesis God does not exist. Because if God exists, then none of this fine-tuning is needed. They can just use magic instead. So, I have tested the hypothesis. Are you going to argue that the universe isn't finely tuned? Are you going to say that the cosmological constant has some value that doesn't allow the universe to expand at just the right rate? Well, because then you'd be arguing with reality. Be my guest. But unless you're going to do that, I'm going to have to say that I have provided evidence that God doesn't exist. Not proof, but evidence. And I want my money.
Proof or evidence, proof or evidence, proof or evidence.
See ya.